Hey, Mal, how's it going?
Hi, Tony. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing
You need to
great.
do the intro for.
I will do the intro. I wanted to start on a warm tone. Okay, I'll jump right into it. Okay, welcome to Spain-ish. We're two expats, one from Norway, one from the US, sharing our experiences of living in Spain. Whether you're thinking about moving here, already living abroad, or just curious about Spanish culture, we got insights, stories, and tips for you.
How's it going, Tony?
It is going well. I had a lovely, pretty relaxing weekend. I went on a small hike to a place called Patatone, a waterfall in Elche. And yesterday, I actually went to a friend's birthday party at a farm. So I got to see some horses, I got to see some dogs. I even got to clean out the horse doo doo from the stall. And you know what? I'm not used to working with my hands anymore, so it was lovely. I never worked at a farmhouse, but part of my upbringing, I was next to a farmhouse with. Do you call it a farmhouse where the cows live and stuff?
I don't know.
The
Farmhouse,
cow house.
cow house. Yeah.
Anywho, it has the same smell, and it's not bad. It's kind of nice, to be honest.
The smell of a cow house.
Yeah, dude. No, we can't keep calling it a cow house. What is a cow
We are already
house?
off the rail.
A barn. It's called a
A
barn.
barn. Okay, okay.
Okay, cool. Anywho, it was fun. We had some typical Spanish food there. We had a dish from Catalonia that's called calzots, which is like a vegetable thing. They barbecue it and then you will dip it into a sauce that is called Romero something. And it was really nice. Have you tried that dish, calzots?
No, but I've heard of it.
You
I've
heard of it?
yeah, yeah. That sounds good.
It
Did you
was.
have to make the food too?
No, I didn't. I just had to shovel some shit. That's all.
What a birthday party.
It was fun. No joke. It was a lot of fun. Truly. How
That's
about
good.
you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. My weekend was very uneventful.
Mm.
I caught up on work and went to the gym. I didn't do anything Spanish esque, so boring but good. It was a good weekend.
It
Relax.
sounds like a weekend well spent, to be honest. Just recharging some batteries. And in my opinion, that's pretty Spanish-esque, no? Just embracing the siesta
Yes.
vibe.
Yes. Yeah, it was a good weekend. So today, what are we talking about, Tony?
We are talking about languages, specifically learning Spanish.
Do you have any new words that you've learned lately?
I do actually. The word courage, I forgot all the other contexts, but the main one I hear people use it in, it's work. Hay que curar. Like,
Curar.
yeah, hay mucho cura. Like, there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then ser y estar bueno. Do you know the difference?
Yes.
To say that someone es bueno or está bueno specifically.
Someone?
Yes.
Yeah. One of them means you're good looking versus good person.
Do you know which one is which? That's the most important part here.
Yes, es bueno is good person. Está bueno is he's good looking.
Ding, 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 ding. You are correct. A colleague-ish of mine, another guy at ULab, he learned me curar and he learned me ser y estar bueno. Like he's just kind of like beating it into my head while I'm there. And when I get lost in conversations around the lunch table, he's like, no, 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 no. And then he will come up with fun anecdotes or examples of like just tricking me into learning. Okay, what have you learned?
Well, I'm taking Spanish classes right now and we're learning the subjuntivo. So we're learning like pluscuamperfecto and like crazy stuff. So I'm not really learning anything new, just more grammar.
Dude, I can't even say what a subjuntivo is. Like, you
Do
just
you
need to
use
show the piece.
subjuntivo?
I literally don't know what it is. Like, right, past, present, perfect, like all the names of different categories of I have no idea. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So give me an example.
So you
Subjuntivo.
you live without using the subjunctive.
I hope I use it, but I can't tell you right now what it is. It has been the same when I learned English as well. I have like categorizing different words, names, verbs,
Right.
etc. Like I don't know what it is. No, I never can remember it, and I just don't care. That's probably my main problem.
But have you studied it? You just don't
Yes.
remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. If not, I wouldn't progress past A1 in my Spanish classes. So again, like in the moment in the class, I'll like, oh, this is a subjuntivo, whatever. But ask me 2 weeks later, and you might as well said, define quantum physics. I'm like, sure, give me Google.
Do you really want to know what is subjuntivo?
For the listeners, come on, give an
Okay, okay.
example.
You use que tengas un buen día. Tengas is subjunctive
I'm still lost. I don't
because
know what you're talking about now.
instead of saying tienes un buen día, you say
Yeah,
tengas. Tengas
yeah.
is subjunctive.
Okay, now I know.
So I know you use it, but maybe you don't use pluscuamperfecto. Quiera.
That I don't use. No. Que tengas un buen día. Yeah, I know because it's a phrase and I know why you say tengas.
Sure. So in Norwegian, you guys don't have the subjunctive,
I will
or
call
you're
my
not
high school
sure?
teacher and ask.
Because in English, there's no subjunctive.
And then I will say neither in Norwegian because we
Okay.
like the verbs are pretty straightforward. Similar to English, it's not the verb itself that changes.
It's like everything around it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm learning, and I haven't like made time to try and learn other things because I'm just struggling with it. But anyway, let's start off with some questions about our language learning journeys.
Mm.
When did you first start learning Spanish? Did you learn it in school before you moved here, or you knew nothing when you came?
I didn't know anything. In the first year I was here, I downloaded Duolingo and like half-assed it, didn't have any streaks, wrote down a few words on a piece of paper, but no, like first year didn't learn anything here at all.
And was that scary to you to come to a new country and not know the language?
When I moved here with my ex, we settled down in a Norwegian community. So you were well connected in the sense that if something happens and someone doesn't speak English, you know someone who can speak Spanish or whatever.
Mhm.
So, no, as time goes by, you realize this is not a way to live life and you get going.
So you knew nothing when you came. When did you start taking classes, or how?
I started off with a course at university. For me, it made sense to let's just go directly to the experts. And the professor, he was like the typical, the ruler, smacking in the front desk there and not yelling, but he had a very strict tone. And I felt like a kid again. And it was like a flashback to primary school.
Yeah.
I did not feel comfortable there at all.
Yeah. How long had you been here? A year?
Yes, a year.
Okay.
Yeah, a year and a half. So started classes, COVID came, lockdown, turned into online classes. When things started opening up again, I went to a much cheaper course that was organized by the local town hall. It was like, okay, cheap classes. It's like soft introduction. I just repeated A1 over again.
Hmm.
And yeah, it worked okay. The way I really learned languages was by communicating with people, getting more into a community of Spaniards. And also, one of my ex girlfriends, her mom and dad did not speak English. We spent a lot of time with them. So I got to practice a lot of Spanish with them. And now I've been taking online classes once a week for a year now. And a year ago, I started doing the Duolingo thing again, just to like have fun with the streaks. Duolingo is not a substitute for going to classes, but I highly encourage people just as a reminder, if nothing else. And I do pick
Hmm.
up things in
Like you
Duolingo.
learn new things.
Yeah, you do. You
Yeah.
do. It's
Yeah.
like small quizzes and did you know this or this word? Like it doesn't hurt. It's 5 minutes a day and you can only do positive. So why not do it? How about
Okay.
you?
I decided to move to Spain in June,
Hmm.
and then I moved in September or October. So I only had a few months and I didn't know Spanish. So I downloaded Duolingo and I was doing it for the months that I was preparing
Yeah.
mentally. And then got to Spain. I arrived on a Saturday and I signed up the day that I got there for classes in person. I just remember the feeling of like, how am I gonna survive? I was terrified to have any kind of interaction. I was like, nobody look at me because then I'm gonna have to say hi or embarrass myself. So I was like, I need to get to classes. I need to learn Spanish now. It was an intensive, it was like 4 hours a day,
Hmm.
4 days a week.
Wow, that is hefty. Is this
Yeah.
your first time learning a new language as an adult?
Yes. Because I'm from the US, Tony. We don't learn other languages.
There's 330 million people living in the US. I'm sure someone is learning other languages than English.
There are. But yeah, people are like, "You're from California. Why like doesn't everyone there speak Spanish?" And it's not true.
California, Baja, yeah, but
Yes, yes. So, I did that for like a month and then I did online classes too.
mm,
And then I just realized that I prefer in person. So I started going to a different school after a few months of doing online.
mm,
And the teacher is very much like you described the teacher of like slamming his fist and yelling and always like
yeah,
very serious. But for me, it works. It does remind me of being a kid again, but I thrive off of that environment, which I don't know. That's probably a little concerning, but I found a professor that I like, and in a year I passed the B1 level. So
dude,
it's
that
been,
is so impressive.
I don't know. I think the numbers are kind of like to have a B1 in all four, like the reading, writing, listening, and whatever the other one is, speaking.
Mm,
I feel like it's so random, and maybe one day you're a B1 and then the next day you're like an A2. I also have suegros that don't speak English. I've had a lot of practice with them. So yeah, thank God for those people in our lives that
thank
force
God.
us to.
Yeah, thank God for the suegros. Do they
Yes.
throw a lot of slang at you or local expressions? Because I assume they're somewhat conscious about you being a foreigner, but still
Right.
they want to talk normally with you.
The mom does not. She's very conscious. So she speaks slow, clear. And then the dad is just, we did a house renovation together and he was throwing all the terms, all the slang. I don't
And I
know.
had the exact same experience with my last Spanish girlfriend. The mom would slow down. She would like flatten her accent. Like my girlfriend and her brother, they were like, "Mom, what are you doing? We don't talk like this." She's like, "Cállate!" Like I'm trying to help this poor young man. Whereas the dad, like if I didn't understand, obviously he would slow down and repeat. But if not, he would just like kind of mumble and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
fun thing.
Yeah. Men are
It
just less
is.
forgiving. But it's good. You need both, right? I
You need
think.
both. You need both.
So, do you have any Spanish rules or phrases that don't make sense to you?
I want to point out this because, yeah, like challenges. So, from
Okay.
easiest to hardest, my opinion would be confidence, listening with differentiating between words. Mainly, that's the challenge there. Pronunciation, understanding, then surprise, grammar. That's the worst one for me.
That's the hardest one for you is the
That's
grammar.
the hardest. Yes, grammar by far.
So, your confidence was the easiest for you.
It is now because I've been exposed to situations so many times that I don't piss my pants anymore. I will just accept I don't understand. I will fake understanding for 2, 3 sentences. And then if I'm still lost, I will show a
Oh.
genuine face expression and say, you know what? I don't understand you. Like I didn't understand anything.
I would say, okay, I'm like the complete opposite, I feel like.
Really? How would you order it then?
For me, the hardest part is confidence.
Yeah?
And then pronunciation. My pronunciation is fine, but it's I still like sometimes I'm talking, especially in front of a group of people, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not saying it right. And then I make more pronunciation errors, you know?
I can relate. I've done that a few times,
And then you're just
especially
like
in the beginning.
thinking. So pronunciation is probably the second. Grammar next, because obviously grammar in Spanish is difficult.
Mm.
And then listening for me is the easiest because you can kind of take the context, and if you know a few of the words, you can basically understand what's happening.
Do you remember a shift in your journey where even though you couldn't understand the words, you were able to differentiate them when you listened to a whole sentence? Like it didn't just sound like one big mash of sounds, but it's like, hey, here's 5 words. I know none of them, but I can differentiate them.
Yeah, probably a few months ago. Very recently.
Well, you're God, you've been here such a short time. Like you're a few months ago. Like it's
Yeah.
still shorter time than me. Put it
Yeah.
like that.
Well, in Madrid, people speak very clearly and slower. And then I go to Andalusia and it's like people are like crazy. Like you cannot hear anything. It seems like a whole nother language. And
Yeah.
it pretty much is. And so my true test is like, okay, can I keep up with these Andalusian people?
Mm.
And the accent to me is nothing anymore. It's just
Really?
like
So it doesn't sound like a bowl of saliva just being thrown around. Like you can actually
right, right.
understand
I
them.
can make out words, but it's just the expressions that they use are so different and funny if you understand it, but
Mm.
just distinct compared to how people speak in Madrid.
I would say me living here in Alicante, the one weekend I've spent in Sevilla, the same impression. Like it
Yeah.
just flows a bit more together there. Whereas here it sounds a bit more like split up the words.
Yeah. Yeah, they just speak, I don't know, they speak faster, and every region speaks a little bit differently, you know, but
Mm.
um
They do. By the way, to answer your initial question, if there's anything that doesn't make sense to me in terms of grammar or phrases, there's several things, but on the top of my head, when you say me gusta, you're supposed to say a mí me gusta. And that
mhm.
a mí, like, why do we need it? And we actually don't need it. Like in class, they will put it in parentheses just to say, like, hey, you don't actually need this, but this is like the ideal way of structuring the sentence. It's to
No,
include them.
but you do need it when you say the
When?
person. Like if you want to say a Toni le gusta, you cannot say Toni le gusta. You have to say a Toni.
That
But
is
for if
true.
you're just making a statement about what you like, no, you don't have to.
You know, yeah, I guess that goes with the same as you don't have to say like yo, tú, or él always, because like when we're using the verb, I mean, like
Yeah,
hace lo que quiera. You don't have to say él hace lo que quiera. You can just say hace lo
right.
que quiera. And what I mean is like 99.9% of the time when I want to say me gusta or te gusta or él gusta, I don't need to include anything more because I already said something in the sentence or context that everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Right.
So what didn't make sense suddenly makes sense. Thank you, Mal. Now I don't have anything to put on that list. How about you?
What I've noticed is that I feel like anytime there's a person or people, they always put "ah" in front. So just always default to don't mention somebody without saying "ah." A ellos, a Tony,
Like it's
a
a default.
vosotros.
It's like a
I think
way.
in almost every case, yeah.
Hmm. I thought
From
it was
what
just like see, like you don't need
it's just a noise. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It sounds like just a noise, but that's what I've like started to pick up on because I don't like it either. Because if I'm talking about Tony, like I've already said the name and I don't want to go back and say a Tony le
Yeah,
gusta or a
you don't
Tony.
need it. That's my point. Like you did already
But
say it.
you do need it.
Says who? Your strict teacher?
Yes. Also, for me, that everything has feminine or masculine is extremely, extremely difficult because
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly like, Elola. Obviously, with if they end in O or if they end
Mm-hmm.
in A, but not always. So I'm like constantly like, am I messing this up?
Yeah, for
Do you
me,
have feminine and masculine in Norwegian?
very little. There's a
What do you
few
mean very little?
examples, but no, basically not.
You have two different thes?
No, because we don't have the. Like the in Norwegian, you just put an E and an N at the end of the word. That never changes. Okay?
Okay.
We never have the
It's just a part
matrix.
of the word. It's not
Yeah,
like
it's just a part
before.
of the word.
Hmm.
In Norwegian, you can say en or a. A is feminine, n is masculine. But you don't use it very often. Usually you would say en hund, like a dog, un perro, okay? And cats, you would usually refer to them as something feminine, a cat, like
Whew.
una
Okay.
gata. But
And
I actually,
you do that with everything or just a cat and a dog?
no, very few things. Cat and dog is one example. I can't think of, well, obviously, a dama, a lady, like
Yeah.
una mujer. But other than that, no, it's not really split up in genders. So that was a new thing to wrap my head around. As late as today, I needed to remind myself it's not la mapa, it's el mapa. And it's like, God damn it. Why do we keep
Yes.
changing things? Yeah.
Yes, those get me every time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's keep
So,
going.
next topic, embarrassing language fails. Do you have any funny stories that you would like to share about misunderstandings or
I'm an expert, Mal. I don't have embarrassing stories. Okay, so for rapid examples, the top of my head,
Yes, please.
I once was on a date and I was so sure that we were talking about cousins. And then it turned out to be siblings. And then I was like, what? You have a gazillion siblings? I thought they were cousins. Ha ha, he he. So, not really a fun story, but that's a typical example of things happening.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ramping up here. So, we start at the bottom.
Start with the good stuff. Come
No,
on.
this was at the bottom. You need to build up, okay? Second one, typical one. Everyone has done this. Estoy embarazada. Like you want to
You've
say,
said that?
oh yeah, everyone has it.
Really? I have not because that was like
You have.
that
Come
was one of the
on.
first things I learned when I got here. I don't
No, I don't believe you.
Yes, yes. My first teacher from here was like, "Don't ever say this." And I never did.
Teacher's pet.
Never. Never, never. You've said estoy embarazada.
Of course. We all have. I don't remember
I have
where,
not.
but I just know everyone has done it, me included.
I'm not.
So did we point out that embarazada is to be pregnant? We should say that out loud.
Yeah.
Here.
Hmm.
Okay, next example. The other day, I was outside my building. I was talking with some neighbors. They were asking how my dog was doing. She wasn't feeling that good. And I said, Polly no está bien. But when you say Polly no está bien, it sounds like she's terminally ill, like she's going to die tomorrow or something. So they
Hmm.
started gasping, like, oh my God, what's wrong with her? And I'm like, no, 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 she just ate something bad and too much grass and she'll be fine. And they're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
So
that's funny.
yeah, I learned in that moment, like, no, that sounds a lot more serious than what you think. And on that
Yeah.
note, when someone asks you and you say normal, it means shit. Like they
Yeah.
will
No,
answer with,
regular, right?
here you can
Regular.
say normal. You can say
And
regular
in
and normal.
and in English, those are good things or
Yeah,
like
in
fine.
Norwegian as well. But here they would, like, without exception, they will say, "Ui, what's going on?" The exact "ui" sound. I've heard it so many times.
Normal? I don't know. I guess I haven't heard that.
But they say regular more often in
Yeah.
Madrid.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, we arrived. The most embarrassing one that I can remember at this moment.
Okay.
There was a person. Her name is Jimea, and I was talking about her to another person, and it even crossed my mind that it sounds very similar to Jimenea, which is the, what do you call it in English?
Himinea, I don't know.
Like when you have a fireplace and you have the chimney.
Chimney.
Chimney. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, yeah. So me and Jimenea, da 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 da, and the other friend, like, who are you talking? What are we talking about right now? I'm like Jimenea, and that's that's a chimney. I probably said it
But was
to
that
Jimenea a
embarrassing
few times. Yeah,
for
because
you?
because I'm 90% sure I said it to Jimenea as well. I'm like, so Jimenea, like, how's it going?
Oh, you said her name wrong.
Yes, like,
But it's
what I'm
Chiminea, right? Mm.
dude, am I just making shit up now? Hold on.
I think it's Chimin.
No, you're amputating my story here. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Dude, it is
Chiminea.
chimenea. I said himenea, which sounds like, okay, so all like we're bridging the gap there. That's what's
Okay.
happened. I got to work on that story for another time. Now I learned
Hopefully
the word,
you're.
definitely. You see, this is good for practicing as well.
It is. You'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a
How
hard
about
time with
you?
this one. Yeah. One time I was talking with my suegra and we were talking about like freezing eggs. And I said mis huevos and she she looked at me and she was like, "Molly, no, women do not have huevos."
You're like, sure
And
they
I was
do.
like,
Like,
I was just I wanted to die. Cuz she's so nice, but yeah, she was just like, "No. No, 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 no. Women don't have huevos." I had another like, with the Spanish government.
mm,
I don't know if you've ever given your código postal, but here you have to do it in a specific way. You cannot just say like the numbers one by one, which is
no,
what I no. There's a way that you're supposed to do it.
I never thought about that, to be honest. Yeah.
You're supposed to do the first two together, the
Mm.
middle one, and then the last two.
What? Oh, come on. That
Yes,
doesn't make
yes, yes.
sense.
Benti, like, well, I'm not gonna say mine. So so I was doing 41010,
Mm.
the código postal, and I said cuatro diez diez, and the woman looked at me like I just committed a crime. There's a specific way, and I didn't know it, and she was just like, "That's not even a código postal." So I would say that's like one of my biggest. In English, you can just say the numbers however you want. It doesn't matter. So do you
Come to
say them
think
one by
about
one?
it, yeah, here in Spain, I'm just a foreigner. I do it my way. But come to think of it, in Norway, there's four. You say two and two. So you will go 6200 or 6220 or 8800. Like you say them coupled always.
Okay, yeah.
But if a foreigner came and said eight, eight,
One. Yeah.
1, 3, I wouldn't
You wouldn't make fun of them.
I wouldn't stand up and smack his face. No, like I would just say, "Hey, I understand what you're saying."
And also the year here, you cannot say 2018 or 2020. You have to say 2028.
That is true.
That's like a big no-no.
I haven't thought of if there were any alternatives. I was just so grateful when I learned how to say it that I just kept going with it.
No, but in English you can say 2016, 2016.
Mm.
It would be weird to say 201. In the year I was born in 1992.
You sound like a prisoner when you say it like that. Yeah, in Norwegian as well, you can say the year 2000, like 2000 and 2001, or you can say like 2010, like 2010, or 2010, like
Yeah.
2010. Just like you couple them up. But 2010, no, sound like you forgot how to speak.
But in Spanish, it's very specific. We can move on from that. I'm sure there's more that will come up, and I'll probably think about them later.
We will revisit the topic in the future.
Okay, I have a list of words that I want to know if you know.
Interesting.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, do you know what vergüenza ajena is?
What did you say?
Ajena.
Ajena?
Ajena.
No, no idea.
It's when someone does something cringy and you feel embarrassment for them.
Yeah. No, never heard it before.
Okay, next one, chapuza.
Sounds like a soup.
Chapuza. It's like a botched job, like something was not done properly.
Someone half-assed something.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Chapuza, con Z.
Puta. Nope.
I learned that when I was doing the renovation because my suegro said we kind of did a chapuza
Yeah.
because we did the renovation by ourselves, basically.
But I want to point out, like, this is how you actually learn a language. You're in the midst of things, and then it's like the strongest reference you can have. You're physically there when it's going down, and like this is the word we use for this situation.
Yeah, that's true. Except the only problem with chapuza is that there's so many things that sound like it that for the longest time
Mm.
I was saying chupaza, which is something very different.
I also invent my own words. Like I still don't know to this day how to say like smoked salmon, because I want to say salmon mojada, which is wet salmon, which is not. I ended up with like a mishmash of the two, like salmon au mojado. I'm like, no, 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 like that's not the thing.
I love that. Okay, next one, friolero or friolera.
Yeah, 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 someone who like often freezes. I often
Feels cold.
say,
Yeah,
yeah, I
who
often
feels
say
cold.
like, "Are you a friolera?" Or friolera when I see that, like, and I'm walking around in a t-shirt. I'm starting to become more of a friolero now. Like I'm adapting to the climate here.
Okay, next, do you know tocayo?
Tocayo? No, tocayo. Give me a hint here.
There's an example. It's hola tocayo.
Is it like cabron or?
No, no.
Just give it to me. What is it?
It's somebody that has the same first name as you.
So if I meet someone named Tony, I can say, "Hey, tocayo." Hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
It is. I should probably listen back to this. I learned some of these words.
And then the last one is kind of stupid. Agua fiestas.
Agua fiestas. Someone who doesn't drink alcohol? I'm just inventing here.
That's a good guess.
Yeah, come on, agua fiestas. It's like we don't do alcohol, but we have Red Bull for everyone.
I guess you could consider someone that doesn't drink an agua fiesta. It's somebody that ruins the fun. A party pooper.
That makes perfect sense. Agua fiesta.
And that's it. Okay. Do you have any words that you mispronounce? Well, I guess ahumado.
Apart from that one, I do. I can't get the hang of the R. Like some days I
The
will have a
R?
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days I do a okay job. Other days it's just no. And not only that, but like how much force you should put on it. One example: the other day I wanted to say "Mira el perito," but I had like a very soft, slow R, so it was more like perito, not perito. And I can even hear the difference now. Maybe it's not a difference now when I'm saying it, but someone pointed out like, no, it's like perito. It's not perito. I'm like, well, what the is a perito then? Like, just so I have something to keep in mind. And I learned
Yeah.
that's another word I learned this week. Not a perito, which is like a small dog, but a perito with a soft R. Just one R, not two R's. That's an expert.
Perro? A perro? Perito?
Perito specifically. Yes.
An expert in what?
My friend, she explained that it's very often an expert. Let's say there's been an accident, the insurance company is called, someone needs to come and look over the damage and calculate like the cost of everything. Well, he's a perito within that field.
I might have heard that before, but it didn't stick with me.
I
That's
don't know
cool.
how often it's used, if it's a common word to use or not, but I googled it and see, like direct translation is just expert.
Yeah.
Those are hard. How about you? How about the R? And what words do you mispronounce?
The R is horrible for me. If I sit there and think, okay, double R, go, then I
Mm.
can do it. If I'm telling a story and then I have to use a double R, it usually doesn't come out right. So
To be fair, you're American. The R's in American, like if I'm not mistaken, the way we use our tongue when we say R, it's the exact opposite of how you
yeah,
would say the Spanish R. Like
yeah,
I have problems saying it. R.
yeah,
Like I've always faked like a hard R in Norway, and here you can't fake it
yeah,
to make it. You need to actually say R.
yeah. It's very difficult for me. And I've been saying the word. Actually, I'm gonna send you a text. How do you say this word? I'm very curious because I want to know if.
Funciona.
Say it again.
Funciona. Funciona.
Okay, it kind of sounds like you said. I had been saying funciona con
Like a funciona.
yeah funciona,
Why?
and it's I don't know. I don't know, but it's funciona. Like you don't. There's no funk.
There's no
You
g
know,
there. No, it's just funciona.
funciona, or
Well, it makes sense
funciona.
because in English, function, like you have a
Yeah,
bit of that pressure
yeah.
there.
So I went a whole year. I say that word a lot, and my boyfriend
Yeah.
a month ago was like, "It's funciona." That was hard to swallow because I'm like, how many times have I said funciona
Yeah, and
with
what's your
a really
Spanish?
hard K?
Yeah, and your Spanish teacher, he never hit you? Like he just let it
I don't
slide?
talk much in the class.
Muy mal,
Can you
muy mal.
imagine?
That like we don't need to dive into it, but you're full of contrast when it comes to that. Yeah, definitely.
With what?
Wait, like here you are doing a podcast, but we did used to attend the same online class,
Yeah.
and you were the last person I would have pointed out and thought
She
she's
wants
gonna
to
do a
talk.
podcast. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, because I'm very shy, especially in Spanish. I mean, I don't like to sound stupid, so the confidence part has really allowed me to speak more.
Mhm.
And I just never wanted to make mistakes, so I just never talked.
That's the thing.
That's a problem.
Like if you're gonna stereotype genders, I think it's very typical that dudes they will just not give
Try.
a f. Yeah, they will be down
Yeah.
in the trenches just doing whatever. Where
Yeah.
females they're a bit more hesitant, like no, I want to refine this and make sure that it's a okay.
Nada chupazo. Or chapuza.
Chapuzo,
Chapuza.
chaputa,
Chapuza. Yeah.
chaputa.
It's better if you don't learn that one. Because it's easy to mess up. Okay. Expressions that don't exist in your language but are hilarious. Um, do you have any expressions off the top of your head in Spanish?
I would say the most like non existent from Norwegian and English would be me cago and insert whatever. Me cago en la
Yeah.
leche, me cago en tu madre, me cago en la puta, like me cago en whatever.
You know what I don't understand about it is me cago means I shit myself, right? Like literally you're shitting yourself, not it's reflexive.
If you translate it directly to English, you are shitting. Because shitting yourself, it just means that it stays in your pants or it falls down your legs. But it's just saying like you are taking the action with your body and the feces is going into the milk or the vom or
Well, why
whatever.
couldn't you just say cago de la leche? Because cago is I shit, no?
I encourage you to ask your Spanish professor in your next class.
I think he would like it, but yeah.
Do it. It's fun and it is a genuine grammar question. It's a very specific grammar question that you actually learn something from.
Yeah.
Very fun example in context.
Reflexive verbs, yeah. I don't understand them. Okay. So, if you could say one thing that helped you learn and get more confident with your Spanish, what would it be?
The one thing, exposure. Like if I can
Exposure.
say two things, it's just trial and fail. Me personally, going back to what I initially said about learning languages, like I'm not structured. I can't tell you what different groups of word or conjunctions or etc. what they're called.
Mhm.
I learn by exposure because it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So it's the one thing that has helped me learn Spanish is just be in Spain, listen to people, be around people, walk in the streets, watch TV, listen, try to read, just expose yourself without stressing and being so intense. Just immerse yourself.
Yeah. That's true.
And you?
I feel like learning and getting more confident are different. There's not one thing that helps you learn and get more confident at the same time, I would say.
I disagree, but okay, keep going.
I think that they're two completely different skill sets because for me, I had no confidence, but I was learning things. And then when I finally like got a little bit of confidence, then I'm like, okay, everything that I've learned up until this point, I can use and not sound crazy.
I agree with your statement. Like their confidence will come through learning. But I've also had the first-hand experience of you make the same mistake over and over again because there's something that you're struggling with.
Hmm.
And the first times you just want to die, you want to go home and cry. But after the fifth time, it's like, I don't care anymore. Like,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
one died. And I, like, why do I keep caring that I can't say this thing or learn this phrase? So you just accept it and you kind of like lower your shoulders. And sometimes that, not necessarily saying that it's confidence, but you care less, therefore you stress less, therefore you have more energy to actually pick up the thing. You don't waste it on
Hmm.
stressing. You're just like, whatever, and then you try to pick it up.
Yeah. But at some point, were you ever like, you went the whole day and you didn't understand anything anyone said to you?
Early.
For me, that killed my like I got here and I had to spend all day with like family that
Mhm.
didn't wasn't speaking English, like would go whole days with like Spanish, 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 and I didn't understand a word. So like of course I'm not going to try to insert myself and talk and say the three words that I do know, you know?
I had a few moments like that. My first Spanish girlfriend, we got together during COVID and I didn't know any Spanish. I knew the three words, as you said. And we went to visit her family. Obviously, out of courtesy, you try to use them and that's it. Yeah. Wow. You feel so small. You feel kind of worthless.
As a man, I would think that would be even harder. For me, I'm like, okay, I'm just the quiet woman, but I would think that it would be hard as a man. That's why you just have to like fake it and kind of like talk and
Maybe that ties into what we mentioned earlier. Typical guy thing. They will accept, okay, this isn't perfect, but we're down here in the trenches. We just make the best out of it because, yeah, you need to be a bit of a go getter. You need to flex some muscles and do something
yeah.
to feel a sense of worthiness or pride, like typical masculine energy. It's to be a problem solver.
Mhm. Yeah.
And how can you solve any problems if you
If
don't?
you're shut, yeah, yeah.
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 Mm.
So, yeah, I guess for me they had to go hand in hand. That the being confident and learning together is just being able to hold a conversation because in the beginning I could not. I like had no words to say
Just a smile and ah. Oh,
like that. Yeah.
the other starts laughing, you start laughing with them. I've done that in a group setting. I didn't understand. They start laughing. I'm like, "Shit, I'm just gonna laugh with them."
It feels so rewarding to like look back on those times when you didn't understand a single word and now you're contributing to the conversation.
I different example, but same feeling. I was listening to a song called Una foto en blanco y negro. That was a song that I discovered during COVID, like 2020, and didn't understand anything of it. And now, when I listen to it, I don't understand everything, but it's like, wow, it's a song about old memories, to looking back at time that has passed. That is such an amazing feeling, just like passively listening back and picking up some of the meaning. It's
Yeah,
a pat on the shoulder.
of course. Yeah. And music is hard, I think. If it's
It,
not your first language, it's maybe they're not using the language properly to make it sound nice or
have you tried to
whatever.
listen to and understand a reggaeton song?
Yeah, no. I mean,
That is impossible. I've had the lyrics in front of me and like some really calm songs. Maybe I get the gist of it, but wow, it is no.
you can't really pick out the words.
South
Yeah.
American reggaeton slang. That is hard. That is next level Spanish.
Yes.
Before we jump to the next topic, I just realized I wrote four things that helped me learn a new language.
Okay, let's hear him.
Well, partially related to what I mentioned, because yeah, immerse yourself, but immerse yourself with empathetic people.
Yes.
People who are patient. They will talk slower. Maybe they know some English. They will go a bit back and forward and they show kindness. And I found quite a few of those people and it has helped me so much. And I am so grateful for their kindness. And in the future, I want to pay it forward. Like when other people are in the same situation, I want to help them like bridge the gap and feel less stressed in those situations.
Yeah. It's a
Second
good one.
thing, find hobbies that doesn't require a broad vocabulary. One example, different sports activities, just learn basic vocabulary to play volleyball. Then you will spend time with people, and obviously there will be insights jokes that you can't pick up on, which is like but it's part of the process. At least you get to be with them. Even better example, which I did, was go to dance classes, because there will be music and everyone will be focused on dancing. So there's only so much time for chit chat, and the rest is just
Yeah.
talking with your body.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot. So be social without talking that much. It helps to bridge the gap. Then the most important thing, just keep going. Doesn't matter that you started late, just keep going, no matter how small the steps are.
But keep going what? Learning or
Yes,
speaking or just all of it?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Even just thinking about it and opening Duolingo every 5 days, that is more than nothing.
Yeah.
I know people who do nothing and they learn nothing.
Right. Well, and it changes, I think, when you're learning a language. Some days you feel really good and some days you feel like I don't know what this is. Like the other day I was having a conversation with my boyfriend in Spanish and I was just like,
What?
I'm
You were? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we normally speak in Spanish. It's becoming more frequent than not, but
That's so cool. Yeah.
it is cool. Yeah, but sometimes I'm like, this is so much work. Like, I had this feeling of, I just want to speak English, like, just because I don't want to think about how I need to say these words. And it's
Mm.
just the easier way.
What's the threshold of staying in Spanish versus just like, I got to say this in English?
If it's a topic that we like should not have any misunderstandings, yeah, it depends on the topic.
Okay, so lottie dottie stuff, then you can be okay with
Right,
not expressing every nuance of
right,
your
right.
opinion.
Or if we're talking about things with the Spanish government, obviously we're going to speak in English because I
Mm.
don't know any of the terminology.
Yeah, biocracy. Wow.
Because we speak a lot in Spanish, he's
Mm.
starting to lose some of his pronunciation in English, which I think is
Losing
funny.
his edge. That's interesting. That's fun,
Yeah.
actually.
But yeah, I guess mine would just be like find whatever ways, videos, podcasts, and just have it on constantly.
Listening,
Yeah, exposing yourself and putting yourself out there.
100%.
Do you have any final remarks?
Yes, learning this third language has been a messy, fun, hard, and very rewarding process. It still is. The one thing that has helped me is just keep going. And that's the same I would say to whoever's trying to pick up any new language. Just keep going. If you stop the Duolingo lessons, if you pause the classes for a year, don't worry, just go back to it and do something.
Yeah. I think just knowing that you'll never be perfect and that you'll always make mistakes. You can be speaking the language for 20, 30 years and you'll still never be able to express yourself fully or speak without mistakes.
I need to point out one last thing. So many people will say, when you learn a new language, one day it will just click. So many people have told me that it will never click.
Yeah,
On
I
the
don't
note of
like
what
that.
you just said, yeah, like it will never click. So don't feel stressed when it doesn't click. There will
Yeah.
be situations where you realize, wow, I wasn't able to say that whenever. And you will have small victories, but it will never click. And that is okay.
Yeah. So you think those people are liars?
Full of bullshit. Yeah.
I agree. I don't think that anyone is free of having days where it doesn't click.
Mm. See, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people shouldn't feel discouraged just because it doesn't click, because it will never click. As I said, victories where you just, oh, I didn't understand that song and now I do. Or you're watching a TV show for 5 years that you didn't understand and suddenly you're on the TV show yourself participating.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think that you just have to be kind to yourself and keep going. And don't expect to ever master it perfectly for the people that are perfectionists.
Yes.
So yeah, we are on a language learning journey, and it's really cool.
It is. It is. Despite that, we're talking in English on our podcast. Yes.
Someday we'll be able to do it in Spanish one day.
Let's have it as a future goal. One day we will do a short episode in Spanish. Yes, that we should do that. Okay. Honoring the country and the journey and everything.
Yes. In the future, when it clicks.
That's
when Spanish clicks for me, I will do a whole podcast in Spanish. Okay. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and follow us. Reach out to us on social media.
We are on Instagram. The tag is Spainish. We are on YouTube. The tag also is Spainish.
Yeah, we will talk again soon.
Hasta la próxima.
Adios.
Adios.